What's going on, guys? So I want to talk today about Freyja, and I want to hear your thoughts and opinions about her as well, since she's going to be in the Deck of Fate coming up soon, or maybe tomorrow or today at the time of you watching this video. But I've been doing some testing and working with her. The initial look at her, a lot of players are thinking, or a lot of players that I've been seeing have been talking about her being a kind of like a Necrit champion, basically a champion who, when your damage dealer gets nuked, they're going to get instant turn and just obliterate the enemy team. And while in some situations that does work, the issue with her passive's active effect is that stun, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, all that kind of stuff is going to stop that champion instant turn effect from actually doing anything. So that's one downside. The other downside is any multi-hit skill is just going to kill a champion. So unless the champion gets left alive at 1 HP with a single target AoE or single target A1, whatever it is, a single target skill, it's going to work. But if it's a multi-hit, it's going to just kill him. So if you have a shield set on a champion or a shield on your team and a Narcisse does his double hit A2, well, you're going to die. Or if he just double hits A3, well, you're going to die, unfortunately. So it doesn't quite work like Necrit does in the sense that you can take a lot of hits. You got to build your champions still pretty tanky or go against teams where you expect to just get hit with one big hit and then you get the boosted extra turn. As far as the rest of her kit, she's very interesting, and I've not actually seen anybody build her this way, and maybe this is not the way to build her at all. Maybe this is just a garbage build that I have, but it is something I found interesting. I've been waiting for the multipliers from the Hell Hades website to come through. Unfortunately, they haven't updated yet, but I did some comparisons, and I found some pretty interesting things. So her A1 is an AoE attack with a 40% chance of placing Provoke. Great for Hydra, awesome for Hydra. She counterattacks with this skill when a shield buff placed by this champion is removed by damage. This occurs once per turn. Now, that implies to me that we need to build her fast. The faster she is, the more turns she's going to get, so the more chances she can actually counterattack. She will outrun the shield, but basically, I don't want her to be super slow, essentially. Now, this build, she's not the fastest, but she's not too bad. Then the A2 is an increased defense, plus a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. Now, the shield was kind of interesting. I compared it to Valkyrie. Now, Freyja's shield places increased defense and then does the shield. However, when we look at these champions, it's difficult to tell with the HP bars, but on the Valkyrie side, which is the left side, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solid gray bars and a little, almost basically 6. And then for the Freyja side, even with increased defense, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Valkyrie side is bigger, and there's no increased defense even involved. However, the shield from Freyja is proportional to this champion's defense and each target's max HP. One, her passive is going to be stacking more defense for her. The champion's max HP is going to be different. So in this case, where these champions have pretty low max HP, it may be just, hey, when Freyja goes with champions who have 100,000 max HP, that's when the shield's going to be significantly different. I tested a little bit, and I really couldn't see huge differences to say, okay, Freyja's shield is massive, and this is awesome. When in reality, it seems pretty close to Valkyrie's, and Valkyrie didn't even have increased defense. Now, when we look at her A3, this brings a cleanse plus a block debuffs and an ally's turn meter filled by 20%. Honestly, her kit in a lot of ways is similar to Siphi. So she has a block debuffs, she also has a cleanse. Siphi doesn't have a cleanse. She has a turn meter boost, and she also brings an increased defense. Now, you can't really use her easily as a speed booster because she doesn't place the damage buff and the turn meter boost on the same skill, whereas Siphi does. So there's plenty of big differences, tons of differences. But as far as champions who bring a cleanse, a turn meter boost, and a block debuffs, plus an increased defense and a shield, she's going to be awesome for things like Hydra, things like the arena, and so many different areas in the game. But when you take a little bit deeper look at her and see how much damage she can deal, it's actually pretty respectable. So I currently have her in a unique set. She has no blessings. Take that into consideration as well. But when we look at her damage dealt, pay attention to the Cold Heart. So first A1, we did 13,000 damage. Second A1, we did 18,000 damage. It's not always going to scale that high, but we are getting an increase over the crits that we deal. So every time a crit is dealt, she's increasing her defense by 5%, which means up to 50%. So once we get to the 50% defense boost, she's going to be basically doing 50% more damage, which is pretty awesome, 21,000 damage. So she's boosting her damage over the course of the fight. Now, I compared this to some other well-known multipliers for defense-based champions. This is what I came up with. So for these tests, I ran it versus Stoutus as well as Krisk under the same conditions, which was no increased defense, so Stoutus did not use his A3 skill. Now, Freyja averaged 49,000, Stoutus averaged 76,000, and then Krisk averaged from his A1 was 32,000, but from his A2, which has a 3 times multiplier, was 57,000. So, this was all just with one hit. Freyja is going to scale higher the more times she does a hit. Matter of fact, I tested a few times, and Freyja had a 17% average damage increase from her first A1 to the second A1 from the defense boost passive. So you could probably assume that each time is going to be about a 17% boost in the damage dealt. At least that's what I was finding, which makes sense. It's going to be close to that 50% defense boost overall. Now, it's going to scale up differently if you have increased defense, if you have decreased defense on the enemies, if you have, Helm Smasher, if you have blessings, all that kind of stuff. But as far as their damage goes, Freyja was hitting 41% harder than Krisk's A1. Krisk was hitting with his A2 14% harder than Freyja's A1 skill, and Stoutus A2 was hitting 41% harder than Freyja's A1. This was just the initial hits. Freyja has between 3 to 7% less base defense than the other two nukers, so scaling her defense was going to be a little bit more difficult. But what you're looking at was just the first hits. Freyja is going to scale up higher defense the longer the fight goes on. So even though it is a big spread then, if a fight's going on longer, or if you have a champion who is going to be doing crits for you, well, now all of a sudden, Freyja is going to be somewhat competitive. If we take a look at, say, let's throw in my Thor. We'll do an AoE hit with him and see what Freyja does just right off the bat. So we'll do the increased defense for her. We'll do Thor's A3. He's going to hit hard. He did 34,000 damage there. Let's go ahead and do both these hits. 50,000 damage there, 105, 49. Let's see what Freyja hits for. 35, 42. That's an A1 skill. Obviously, it's not as high as Thor. Obviously, she's not a nuker like Thor. She is not that level of damage dealer. Thor hit multiple times. She did one A1 ability for 194,000 damage total. Just for a little bit more comparison, let's see what Thor's single A1 use, or sorry, single A3 would be. So she did 194. Thor did, let's see, 205. It's not that big of a difference. The champions are very different. He has 5-star blessing. He is a far better damage dealer. But when you look at the damage that those two dealt, she is somewhat a, honestly, hard-hitting defense-based champion from that A1 skill that also brings a lot of support utility. Let's take a look at how this would work in some arena fights. We're going to jump into this fight first. The setup that I want to use with Freyja is going to be Ancora to cleanse the stuns, the sleeps, the fear, anything like that. Armons to go first, Freyja to give our damage dealer a boost. So we kind of have a makeshift Necrit in a way. The debuffs are going to be cleansed, and the champion's going to get an extra turn pretty quickly. So hopefully this works out great. We're going to see in just a moment how it actually plays out. But we're going to kill the Marichka, or sorry, sheep the Marichka, and then we'll see how she does. We're going to open with the A2 to give myself a shield. So if Thor breaks the shield, we'll actually be able to do the counterattack, which would be pretty sweet. I'm not going to do anything else here. I want to see what Thor does with his A1 or his A3. We break the shield. She kills a Thor. She soloed that Thor. 50,000 damage from that A1 skill right there. And now all of a sudden, she's boosted her defense by what? 5, 10, 15, 20%? Yeah, 20%. 20% defense boost. I guess maybe 15% if the sheep wasn't crit. But now, what's his second A1 doing? 28 and 37. This team may not be geared, because that's some pretty big hits. 32. I mean, honestly, that's making her look a little better than what I expected it to. But she's doing good. Like, she's doing some very solid damage. 207,000 damage, yes. Some crazy damage from Thor. But Freyja did 180,000. One of those was from a counterattack. Some of those was from just various different things. Now, this team probably can go a little bit differently. Unfortunately, I probably need an increased speed champion because I'm not going to be faster than this setup. But we'll give it a shot anyways, right? We'll give it a shot and see how it plays out. See how the setup goes. We have the Stone Skin Breaker Gizmak himself. We have a good old Sigfriend. If we get a cleanse, that'd be sweet. Thor gets an instant turn here. Could maybe kill the Arbiter. Probably not. Oh, we actually did kill her. Sweet. Quite impressed by that, honestly. Use the A1, 38,000 damage. I mean, some solid hits. Now, Siegfried's going to use a big A2 and kill everybody here. Oh, didn't actually. Pretty sweet. Thor is going to get a turn, but I'm not gonna get a kill. I need to do the cleanse, block debuffs, put a shield up. Actually, let's do this. I want to see Freyja take a turn, actually do a hit. So we're just going to strip the... we're going to do this to sheep her, to strip him, so I can kill him. No increased defense. Can she kill Siegfried? No. 29,000 damage. Pretty daggone close to just killing him. 29,000. I mean, that's a decent hit with no increased defense as well. But she's going to give herself the increased defense so that if you do need it, she's going to provide it to herself, which is pretty sweet. 25,000 damage there. Total damage dealt. She did more than Thor. Granted, I am 100% setting it up for her to be successful. But the build that I have her in, let me show you what she's wearing. So for my Freyja's build, I currently have her. Well, she has no blessing, so keep that in consideration. She has a lethal set with 4-piece stone skin, so 1 turn of stone skin. Her stats are defense, honestly kind of low, 211 speed, 230 crit damage. Nothing really like mind-blowing, nothing super crazy. And she's hitting for these numbers. The pieces could be better. This is attack percentage, accuracy, speed. So definitely could have improvements on her pieces. Could have a 5-star blessing. That would give her quite a bit of improvements. She has Helm Smasher. She has these mastery setups. May not be the most ideal, but it's working. Basically, the point is, Freyja is not just a support. Honestly, her support roles in Hydra are fantastic. Her support roles are very solid. But she also has a big downside of very easily being able to be controlled. Like, just check this out. If we get slept here, she's the damn... Actually, no. Sorry. If Thor gets slept, doesn't matter who hits him. Well, sleep's a different situation, actually, because sleep is going to wake him up. But a stun, well, he'd just be stunned. If I didn't have Ancora, and Solus would just miss his turn, basically. Now, he will get instant turns, all that kind of good stuff, but typically it wouldn't be the case. So we got 1 turn, doing some good crits, dropping some champions. Thor's not going to be able to do that much damage just yet, unfortunately. Just because he's locked out currently. Let's see what Freyja hits for if she ever gets a turn back around. Okay, we got Thor fixed up. He's dead now, unfortunately. Now Freyja, she's the only damage dealer left. This could be something that happens pretty often to you. But she's putting down some damage on him. I would not bring her as your only damage dealer. Not at all. Not a chance of that. But for a champion who can do some pretty good damage, yeah. I mean, she's doing pretty well in my opinion. Let's see. So obviously Thor can just obliterate everybody here. Doesn't, surprisingly. We'll give her increased defense this time. So now we have the shields on everybody. So if we do get the shields broken, she would just counterattack. 75k on the sheep. I mean, we don't care about no sheep really, right? So 220, 184. Not really sure how she did so much more than Thor. I think it was a little bit misleading maybe, because Thor definitely put up a lot. Let's try this team. We have a block active skills, which Ancora will not cleanse. So if he places it on Thor, it's going to be a bad situation, basically. Okay, good old polymorphs, baby. Good old polymorphs. Now let's go ahead and use Thor's A3. Actually, no, we're going to increase defense. Oh, wait, Narcisse is going to show you what's going to happen with this Thor, most likely. Unless I can kill him. Okay, so the Thor just got obliterated. Because of Narcisse doing the double hit, it's not protected. It's just going to get completely ignored, just destroyed, basically. I'm going to polymorph the Narcisse this time. And maybe get a turn. See, everything being locked out, it's not great, but it's not a bad situation either. Because even with the lockouts there, she's still going to do her A1. She has no increased defense now, unfortunately, but she's still going to do her A1 skill. Which, if you want to see how hard that hits for, just wait a moment, and she will use it. Let's see. Okay, so it's Thor's turn. He may kill everybody here. Doesn't. Okay, her A1, 21, 26. Obviously against a Narcisse, that's not enough, but still some pretty decent damage. No increased defense on her currently, as you already know. Let's get her back around, try again. All right. Kill the Narcy, 35, 36. Not too bad. On an A1 skill. Remember, she's counterattacking with this skill. Whenever a shield's broken, she's counterattacking from that. Obviously, if I actually use her on the live servers, I would be building her with far more hard-hitting, viable stats, much more defense, more attack, more speed, not attack, more speed, more crit damage, all that kind of stuff to make her perform a lot better. Editing back, I realized I did not show her build for very long. So this is what she has currently. We have 4-piece Stone Skin plus 4-piece Lethal. Granted, she doesn't have the best damage dealing stats. The pieces aren't the best for her, but they're still doing pretty well, I believe. Now, with that said, the test with Thor was actually with him in a lifesteal set. So his damage comparison, don't think he's just a terrible nuker because he's actually really, really good. It's just that he's in lifesteal set, not ignoring any defense. So her damage is not as close to Thor's as what it looks like. It's just that Thor was in a different set for testing other areas. But this is the Freyja build. I want to improve on it. It's going to be better when it comes to live servers, but these stats is what I have. And yeah, I'm going to improve on this later on. I think that she's actually a pretty solid nuke / support champion, like a hybrid type champion in my opinion. So guys, hope you enjoy the video. Ultimately guys, Freyja, awesome champion. I don't think she is limited to just support. I think her support utility is excellent. I think she can be a very good Hydra champion. I don't think she's going to be pushing crazy damage numbers like for your Hydra overall score. But on the flip side, this A1 hits pretty hard. It scales up a lot, and I've seen it do some pretty big numbers on the decapitated heads, so you may be able to. But she will, without a doubt, make your team survive longer. She has great cleanses, great support from this. I mean, it's a 3-turn cooldown. Both of her skills are 3-turn cooldowns, so very low cooldowns. Ally attacks, keeping that provoke up, all that kind of stuff. She's a very solid champion for Hydra, for Arena, for even dungeon progression. She's going to be solid just because of how much she can do from this A1 skill. And if you don't go the route of just, hey, 6-piece Stone Skin, make her slow, make her tanky, I think she brings so much more utility in the other build. Honestly, this way, I'd actually rather have her much faster, but the gear I have right now on her just not the best. So eventually I want to get her in some better stuff, make her faster, make her perform better. But at the moment, can't really do that easily. We have some pieces that could swap over, but right now, on the live servers, I may do that, but on this test server, no reason to. By the way, this is a test server. I almost forgot to mention that. Let me throw the image real quick. Image, there we go, test server. It is a test server. So guys, thank y'all for watching. I appreciate you all. Best of luck. Let me know if you're going for her or skipping her. I guess we'll know better once the Deck of Fate actually is announced. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next one.